Hi guys, this is Donna with Love Rocks, and this week we are doing a couple of bumblebees. This rock in particular that you're looking at will become a memory rock, and we'll go on into that here in a moment. I also painted 4 other bumblebee rocks. The winner of this week's drawing will have a pick of those rocks. They can pick one of those rocks. So remember, you need to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment to get into the drawing. Now let's talk about the memory rock. This mother had contacted me and asked me if I could paint a rock for her son in memory of him and place it somewhere so that he would never be forgotten. This was so touching to me that that's what I've done. And I have the opportunity with this channel to be able to ask anybody else who is out there that might feel inclined to do the same. Please paint a rock in remembrance of her son. And at the end of this video will be her Instagram account. You can hide the rock, take a picture of yourself hiding the rock, tell where you're from, and post it to her Instagram account. The reason that most of us got into this hobby is for the love and the kindness that we can show other people. Whether we get to see how it changes their day or not, it is such a wonderful feeling to be able to leave something beautiful for somebody to find, and later on that person come across it when they needed it the most. So I really encourage you, and I really hope that if you don't place one in memory of this particular child, please, I know we all know people that we could put one out for in memory of. So let's move forward. In order to do all of these bumblebees, I just needed to have a background with a color that didn't have really anything to do with the bumblebee so that my bee would really stand out. I picked blue. I did a dark blue, a light blue, a white, and just kind of, made it a swirly. You don't have to mix all the colors or anything. Just kind of put it on there. Keep it as light as possible without, going straight into white, of course. But the more variated it is in color, the better it looks behind your bee, honestly. On my bees, I did several different things. I did a little tiny rock with like a piece of a tree, and it had the bee flying up to its nest. I had just a regular bee. I've got 2 different bees flying either down or to the side of a flower. They were so much fun. You can do anything with bees. You can have them flying anywhere. You can put more than one. You can have them landing on something. Whatever you want. It just, oh man, there are so many different things you can do with a bee. Now, let's talk about the placement of your flower. I actually put in my flowers first on all of them, mostly because it gives you a good idea where you're going to put that bee at. So for this one, I wanted a flower that kind of looped over the top, and then the bee could be flying up to it. I put a tiny bit of grass at the bottom coming up. It was more of a filler than anything else. You can put more flowers. You could put a sunset. You could put anything you want back behind it. If you follow me at all, you know that I really like simplicity with my rocks. I'm not a landscape artist. I like whatever I'm going to be putting on the rock, I want it to be the focus of attention. And I will work on that, and anything behind it is more of a filler than it is anything else. So I tend to not put a lot of detail behind my pictures. I want that focus to be right there on what's in the front. But you can do it any way you want. I hope if nothing else, you've learned that from me, that the sky's the limit. You can add anything you want to these. I used a dotting tool in order to do the flowers. Oh, it made it so simple. And I will tell you, I was hoping it would work, but I had never done it before. I thought, you know what, that would be a nice dot and drag, because you could make the flowers almost look like they're kind of, upside down and falling downward. I did two colors. I first did the bright pink, and then I came back in with the same color tone of a light pink, and then put in those. And if you look, it is so simple to put in the dot and drag. It came out so easy and turned out really cute for something like this. I struggle sometimes with flowers. I think I tend to make them too difficult when they don't have to be. If you relax and sit back and just kind of figure out, you know what, a flower kind of looks like this. What do I have that I can make this the easiest thing that I can make? And this is what came back to me. So you can use a dotting tool. If you do not have a dotting tool, then you can use other things around the house. You can use, I think I've talked about this before, you can use the eraser on the end of a pencil. You can use, you can actually use like a Q-tip end. You can use anything with a round end where you can get a nice round dot of paint and then just drag it down real fast. So it doesn't have to be a dotting tool. If you're interested in getting a set of dotting tools, they're very inexpensive. I think you can get them on Amazon, a full set for, I don't know, maybe between $10 and $15 at most. I'll see if I can find a set, and I'll try to put that link into the description. I did put, like I said, some grass, used a couple of different colors for the grass, and put that down at the bottom. Like I said, for filler more than anything. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do this little bee. He is literally a teardrop. I hope you can see the pencil sketching on the rock. I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but I'll outline it first for you in yellow, and then we're going to go back and we're going to do a little bit of shading with the orange and the yellow. But literally, he's a teardrop. This is the simplest bee you will ever build, ever. Put in your yellow at the top, and then we're going to, as you go down in shade, I added a tiny bit of orange so that I could get that shading down around the bottom of the bee. In this particular color, this is not a color I want to add black to or blue. You have to be really careful with yellow. You will change your color drastically when you add different colors to it, being a primary color like it is. So I kept it within that yellow shade, which orange is in there. So I was able to use the orange to slowly change the color as you go down and around the bottom of the bee. This would be a great project for kids. This is a good project if you have a spot that you've decorated in bee stuff. This is super cute for a garden, a patio area, again, to put into pots, things like that. And you're just going to shade again all the way around the edge. I will say, I don't know if anybody else is having trouble with their paints. I have, with all the heat that's been coming across the U.S., I have fans on everywhere in the house, and my paint is drying really fast, and I love wet paint. It's easier to blend, it's easier to work with, it's easier to change if you need to change it. And so it's been really difficult dealing with paint that's drying so fast. But just make sure that you got your water there, and you'll notice I get away and I dip a lot, and that's what I'm doing. I'm dipping into into the water, just trying to keep my paints wet. Now, once you get that shading in, you're going to start putting in your stripes for the bumblebee. So we're going to get matte black, which is what I use. And we're going to do the very end of the bee. And make sure that you make the stripe with a curvature. That's going to show the curvature of the body. So you're going to want to make that curvature. And I will be honest with you. I have made my curvatures both directions. I've made it curve towards the back. I've made it curve towards the front. I can't tell you I like one better than the other. I did play with that a little bit because I wasn't sure which direction I wanted to go. The important thing is to have the curve. With the curve, it really produces that roundness to your bee. And you're just going to lay those in, and they're just going to be dark black, of course. I don't put any highlights on my black. Bumblebees are not a shiny animal, so I just don't put any real highlights or anything on these. Now, I love googly eyes. I just think they're adorable. I put them on almost every animal that I do. They can show so much personality. So you can put what kind of eye you want. You can just put a round eye. You can put an oblong eye. I tend to like the big googly eyes. And I make them white around the very bottom and around the edges. I will put in just a tiny bit of blue. It gives it again that curvature of the eye. And remember the eye on the side away from the body, the farthest one. You want that to stick out a little bit. Stick out away from the face. It'll make the whole picture look like those eyes are big and bulgy, which makes them just adorable. And do shade both of them around the bottom and around going up the edge a little. Once you get that done and play with it as much as you need, I really had, my paint was getting dry and I was really having a hard time getting a thin line on this eye. So to get those thin lines with those detail brushes, the paint has to be thin. But yet, if you get it too thin, it turns into water, which is kind of what we're going to do with his wings. So it's definitely right now is challenging for getting those thin lines. But you just got to play with it. Remember, there's nothing you can't fix. You get it too big, you go back with the yellow and you paint over it. You get it too little, you go back with the white and you make it bigger. Now we're going to take the black and a spotting tool or a dotting tool, and we're going to put in the eyeballs. Or I guess it's the little black area of the eye. Now you're going to put a white highlight on that. So let it dry completely before you do that. Mine are happy bees, so my bees always get a smile. Once we get that smile in there, we're going to start working on the wings. Think of the wing on the side of the body closest to you, you're going to think of that like a heart. It's in a heart shape. And the wing on the other side is going to poke up, and all you're going to see is the very top of that heart. That's the easiest way to make those wings and not get too worried about how you're shaping them. Now you're going to use just plain white to do this. And then we're going to go back in and we're going to make that translucent look in that wing, which is going to look like you can see through it. So to do that, you're going to take the white and you're going to get it very, 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 very thin with water. And you're just going to plop it in there and do not overwork it. It'll wet down your other colors and it'll really mess it up if you do. Now, you'll notice that looks a little bit too white. I just dried my brush, went back in there, and soaked up a little bit of that excess paint. And that's all it takes. There's the little white dot on the eyeball, and we're done. I hope that you guys try this. I love it. I think they're so much fun. Here's the 4 that you can pick from. So whoever wins the drawing, this is what you will pick from. And again, the one that we just painted, that one is going to become the memory rock. Look in the description, and there will be another link to the Instagram account if you decide to put out a memory rock for this child. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. And I hope that it gives you some pleasure. Have a great week, and we'll see you again in a week.